Rachel Emmanuel brings the news each day. On Alberta Roundup, she has her say.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Alberta Roundup. I'm your host, Rachel Emmanuel. I am here today doing an extra special episode. I saw something this week that caught my eye, and I knew that you guys would all be very curious about it today as well. So I am joined today by UCP Board President Rob Smith. Rob, thanks so much for today.
Very happy to be here, Rachel.
So Rob, I saw an interesting article this week from CBC News with you in which you were commenting on the COVID-19 vaccines, actually saying that you guys, the UCP board, are urging Alberta Premier Danielle Smith to amend COVID-19 vaccine policy. So just to get started, what specifically are your concerns with the COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, Rachel, I just want to say right off the bat that there's a pile of people, members of the United Conservative Party included, that want to put all things COVID behind us. They want to move on. They feel that that's in the past. We recognize there are a lot of Albertans and a lot of our party members that feel that way. However, there are also a significant number of our members and a significant number of Albertans that are still concerned that the vaccine exists and that the vaccine by HS is being promoted for infants as young as 6 months of age. We as a provincial board, based on the policies approved by our membership, cannot really discuss the efficacy of the vaccines or the makeup of the vaccines, but we do know that there are facts that seem to be alternative to what Alberta Health Services is wanting to implement, and we feel that it is absolutely justified by the party, like the Constituency Association Calgary-Lougheed, to try to present those facts to Albertans. And what we're urging our Premier to do is, to the best of her ability with Alberta Health Services, urge them to be as forthright and transparent as they can about all the facts about existing COVID vaccines, including the fact that there are a lot of medical professionals that believe there are serious side effects.
So you're saying we want Alberta Health to be more forthcoming about some of the risks of the vaccine. Are you actually hoping to see any change in that policy? As you mentioned, it is being recommended for babies beginning at 6 months currently.
Well, I think it's very fair to say that we have a long history of trust of the medical system in Alberta, in Canada, and that parents have just largely accepted the vaccines as put forth for their children because they trust in this case, Alberta Health Services, to be providing the best opportunities for our kids. There are a significant number of UCP members and a significant number of Albertans that think the idea of the COVID vaccine for infants as young as 6 months of age is off the boil, to be completely frank. And what the members passed as a policy last fall at our AGM, Rachel, is a policy about informed consent, and that there is an ability for Albertans to demand that they have the ability to have all the information presented to them in order to consent to get a vaccine. In the case of the COVID vaccine for infants or for children under the age of consent or the age of legal recognition, parents need the opportunity to be able to know everything. And the challenge is that there are an awful lot of Albertans that are parents that rely on that culture of belief. There are a lot of Albertans who think that that puts a number of children at risk. So AHS needs, particularly with respect to the COVID vaccine, to present all the information that is available. And I mean, we're not talking necessarily radical thinking here. We're talking about vaccines that are being pulled from distribution around the globe. We're talking about leading doctors. We're not talking about quacks here who have serious concerns about what this means for anyone who's taking it. Premier Smith has been very, very forthright, and we completely support her as a party in providing choice. We don't believe as a party that the COVID vaccine needs to be taken away, but we do believe there needs to be a more proactive approach to ensuring that people have the scientific information available to them so they can make decisions based on informed consent.
So I actually had the opportunity to ask Premier Smith about the government's COVID-19 vaccine policy a few weeks ago. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see this interview yet, but her answer might surprise you. We're just going to play that clip right now for our viewers who might not have had the opportunity to see it yet.
Changing directions a little bit, I want to talk about Alberta Health Services. Obviously, your government's doing a lot of work on dismantling that, changing things around. Just the other week, they came out and they announced that they are still recommending the COVID-19 booster every 3 months, beginning at 6 months old, for babies 6 months old. A lot of people took issue with that. Is that a policy that you yourself agree with?
I think that we're trying to get a correction with the Western Standard because we think that it was mischaracterized. So I'll tell you what I have observed. What I have observed, since it is a choice for people to take the vaccine or not, 16.6% of Albertans have chosen to take the vaccine. So I think people are making their own decision about what is best for them, whether or not they need it, whether or not they're in consultation with their doctors. And we want to preserve that. That being said, I believe it's over the age of 65, 60% are getting that booster. And so we want to make sure that in respecting choice, that we're respecting the choice of everyone. There are some families that have made a decision that they want to have their children vaccinated, and many who have chosen not to. And so we're making it available. The recommendation really is, though, for those who are immunocompromised at any age and those over the age of 65, and I think Indigenous communities as well, because there's a comorbidity factor with diabetes in particular and some of the other health risks. But it remains a choice, and one that we hope that people make in conjunction with their doctor.
So not recommending 6-month-old babies get the mRNA COVID vaccine?
The recommendation was for those who were immunocompromised, those over the age of 65, and I believe First Nations communities.
I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear that.
So, Rob, what is really your understanding of the policy? Because after this interview happened, a lot of people reached out to me and said the COVID-19 vaccine is still absolutely on the vaccine schedule for babies beginning at 6 months. And I reached out to Alberta Health and had that fact confirmed. So what do you make of the Premier's answer here?
Well, honestly, Rachel, the Premier's answer is exactly what the party supports and believes. And when we first broached this issue with Premier Smith, that was very, very consistent with the response that she gave to us. We understand that I mean, AHS is not the government, right? But we believe that the ability of the government to try to affect the necessary change with respect to that vaccination policy is something that we want the government to do every single thing they can to try to impart the change that we believe Albertans actually want. Everything that the Premier said there is completely consistent with what she said to us, and I believe it's actually completely consistent with what the party wants. The idea, though, of AHS continuing to indicate in terms of the vaccination schedule that infants 6 months of age should be getting the COVID vaccine is something we take serious issues with. And I think that it's with respect to that, as well as with respect to even adults like you and I that are not necessarily the immunocompromised or those aged 65 or older or part of Indigenous folks, as the Premier identified, are people that are recommended to have the vaccine. That's what Calgary-Lougheed and a number of other CAs are supporting them in putting forth this information so that people can actually learn more about what it actually means, rather than fear-mongering. Because, I mean, maybe for some people, they would like to take the vaccine. They think they should have it, but they should be able to access all of the information. And I don't think that the party believes that AHS is providing the opportunity for Albertans, parents included, to truly make informed, consensual decisions when it comes to the COVID vaccine and the current AHS policy.
Sure. I guess just back to the Premier's answer, the distinction would perhaps be, she's saying that this vaccine is only being recommended for immunocompromised children beginning at 6 months old. The Alberta Health has told me that it's being recommended for all babies 6 months old. So what's your actual understanding of what the policy actually is?
Well, our understanding is, I mean, it's AHS's policy, and so what you just said, Rachel, is absolutely correct, and that's what I believe it's fair to say, based on the policies that have been approved by the membership of the United Conservative Party, we have serious issues with that. It's We believe that the Premier, in talking about the choice being offered to Albertans, is very, very important. I think we have a Premier and a government that's very, very focused on allowing people to make their own choices. But when you consider the trust in the medical system that we've historically had, we just don't believe as a party that that the information is presented as it needs to be presented for people to make informed consent, particularly when it comes to children.
So you've mentioned you already raised this with the Premier. Was she sort of receptive to that idea of having Alberta doctors be more informing to parents of the risks of the COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, I feel like when we first brought it up to her, I mean, I don't think that we brought up anything to her that she wasn't already aware of and perhaps was already trying to act on when she talked about, with respect to the Western Standard, trying to get some information presented that indicated that AHS was that there perhaps was some inconsistency in terms of how that information was presented. We've all been hearing, and I'm sure the Premier more than anyone in the province, a serious amount of concern from people about the idea of 6-month-old infants getting the COVID vaccine and the degree to which it's supposed to be repeated based on what AHS is saying. I don't believe that's what our government wants. It's certainly not what our party wants. And so that is serious concern. We really, really want AHS to be we'd love for them to change the policy, but what I can say that the party has absolutely approved based on policy from last fall is at least present the information based on informed consent. I can say that because our UCP membership have actually approved that.
Sure. One other thing I wanted to bring while I have you up is there's a big event happening just in Calgary next month. I know that my viewers will be really excited to attend it if they are in Calgary or to hear more about it afterwards. It's an event really looking at vaccine injuries caused by the COVID-19 vaccine and even in some case death. The event is called the Injection of Truth Town Hall, and it also sort of promotes itself as an opportunity for attendees to mingle with researchers. We're going to have some huge researchers of the COVID-19 vaccine and people who have really been speaking out against it. People like Dr. Brian Bridle, who I'm sure my viewers are very familiar with, some really important researchers there, as well as some UCP MLAs. So this event is happening. The Calgary-Lougheed Constituency Association is organizing it. You and I spoke on the phone. You explained to me that the party does support this event. Just my viewers, could you explain maybe how did these things come together? Was it, the Constituency Association approached you and said, hey, do we want to do this event? Or because the party has this position of, wanting to amend vaccine policy, have you guys been trying to organize and find constituency associations to hold events like these?
Sure. Rachel, the constituency associations are the coursing blood of the United Conservative Party. Our constituency associations are our membership, and they are our members' first touch point with the party. So when a constituency association comes up with an initiative, be it a fundraiser, be it a friend-raiser, or be it something that actually wants to talk about public policy or social issues, unless they're doing something that is in contravention to the member policy declaration or anything that's in our bylaws or governance, we will support them wholeheartedly. So when the Calgary-Lougheed Board of Directors of their constituency association decided to come up with this activity, and this has been a CA very active in hosting town halls, and have actually even assisted a number of other constituency associations across Calgary and even into the outlying areas with organizing town halls, gathering in many cases hundreds of people together to actually talk about conservative issues. So when they decided that they were going to be hosting this event, there was just no question the party was going to help put the information out to our membership and certainly support the event. I understand. I've had a number of phone calls this week from a lot of people I hugely respect, some of the greatest mentors of my life, that say, please leave this alone. Just COVID's in the past. Let's put it behind us. And I completely appreciate that attitude. There's a part of me that actually believes that it would be better if we did that. But that's my own opinion. The party believes that our members are always right. And if our members, particularly in the case of a group as large as a constituency association, want to put forth an activity that they already have, like I think almost a dozen CAs from across the province that have made motions to support this event. And I think there's going to be viewing parties held across the province, or viewing events. I don't think parties is necessarily the right word. But like this is an important event that I think a lot of Conservatives, a lot of our members, and perhaps even some members of the public will be watching with interest to hear from these medical field experts.
Do you know which UCP MLAs are planning on attending the event?
Well, I do believe that Shane Getson is to be part of it. Eric Bouchard, who is the MLA for Calgary-Lougheed, will be in attendance. I would suspect there are others, but those are the two that I am aware of.
Well, we'll definitely be watching that event with interest. Rob, thank you so much for joining the show today. I know that my audience will really appreciate your perspective. And honestly, it's just nice that we have a UCP board that finally has some teeth. I don't think any other province has a party board doing work like you guys are doing. So it's actually really amazing to see, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you, Rachel. Really appreciate it. We do all support our premier, and so it's easy to get motivated to be an active board when we have a premier like Danielle Smith.
All right, everyone. Well, that was Rob Smith, the UCP President Board. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this new initiative and what you think of the board taking action to really speak out about some of the harms of the COVID-19 vaccine policy. I will see you guys all later in the week. Hope you guys have a great one. God bless.